Good evening, this is Robert Stevenson. I'm looking to call to order the Southwick Talent Granville Regional School District School Committee meeting for this evening, May the 19th, 2025. Can I get a motion to enter into the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 5-0. All right, can we get everybody stand please for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks very much. Sorry for this being a little late for those of you listening online. Our executive session ran a little bit later. Okay, so consent agenda, we've got minutes from 5-5 and then we've got policies. We're giving everybody heads up. Policy C and D are getting looked at. This is a speak now, forever hold your peace part. Have you got any issues with those? Okay, warrants, we've got a little small tub tonight going around. If we can get everybody to sign that. Superintendent Willard, we have any correspondence this time?
Yes, we'll be taking an action item later, but we just want to thank the bachelors, third grade parents who would like to donate an ice cream truck for the Wally Park field trip on June 12th. The value is $2,000. And so we're gonna go in action item later for the board's approval, but I just wanted to thank the family, the bachelors, for doing that for our students at Howard Middle School.
Very good.
That's awesome.
All right, so the next item up here is student advisory report. And this is the swan song for our senior Magnolia, giving the student advisory report. Hey, do we have a baton? Are we passing the baton? There's no baton, there's no school committee baton?
A Word document, maybe.
Okay. Off we go, take it away.
Class officer elections are coming up. Candidate speeches for each class will be held on May 28th, with voting to immediately follow. The SRS SAD team went to work before prom. We had a crash car and a board in front saying "Arrive alive, don't drink and drive." Additionally, we placed red ribbon on each car handle to remind drivers to think about the effects of drunk driving and how many teens are affected each year. On top of that, we also did a locker memorial. Students had counselors available to them for emotional support at all times. Prom went amazing. It was held at Crestview this year, and all the students have had positive reviews about that.
It was very nice.
Oh.
I enjoyed it.
Good.
Members of the SRS band will be performing in this weekend's Memorial Day Parade. We have math MCAS this week, and after that, the seniors will take their finals, then we'll have senior week, and finally graduation on June 7th. I know, I'm ready. And then the rest of the high schoolers will have their finals, and then to celebrate on June 17th, the student council will host an hour field day. So they'll have a bunch of activities last block. Summer reading assignments will roll out on June 13th. On June 9th, sixth graders will be coming out to visit, help them transition a little better. And there will also be a number of field trips, the second week of June, junior, sophomores, and schools. And that's all I have.
So it's really a field hour, not a field day.
We're not affording a whole field day.
The school doesn't do a full day.
They don't?
No, it's half.
It's kind of long to.
It's 3, 4 go together,
So it's
5,
a-
6 go together,
yeah.
whichever.
Yeah.
Or a field,
Field hour.
okay.
It's probably an hour.
Field hour, okay. All right, educational presentations. Ms. Carrier, you're up first.
Yeah. So
Actually, you're up first and second.
First
don't
and
you?
second. You are the
Yeah.
today.
So first, you received in your packet the instructional materials evaluation checklist. So that is a document that will be guiding the actual audit. So we are currently piloting materials from the 7th grade social studies civics curriculum. So ILT as a team, our instructional leadership team received an electronic version of this, and they received 2 different material packets. So one is materials that are used on one of the standards for the seventh grade that has to do with teaching ancient Israel. So it is a package of parables from the Bible that are used as part of that unit. So we felt like that was a good piece of material to look at because it is, one of the things you don't talk about, right? When you have people over for dinner, you don't talk about religion. So we thought, okay, well, let's look at religion. So the group will be looking at those materials and using this checklist to determine their suitability. The second packet of materials are 3 videos having to do with human migration that are used to teach part of the evolutionary path and how humans migrated from certain areas and then developed traits in response. So the teams will be looking at that to come back with kind of a little more information about, is this checklist useful? We've looked at it separately without materials to see kind of how it works. Timing, how long does it take to do this? Should we be grouping materials in such a way where we're looking at each material getting its own checklist? Or is it like for this unit, we look at all of the different pieces that were involved? Sometimes some of the questions have to do with presenting multiple sides of a topic, but we know that if you watch one video, it's really used maybe with a couple of videos all together that all together show the different sides. So our ILT will be coming back at the end, at their next meeting, which is in June, with a lot more information about really the usefulness of this. And then the plan would be to have a full audit over the summer, looking at an entire course. And then doing that again next winter after the end of the first course. So we'd be doing one every February and one every summer. And we're kind of timing components now. We know that each course is going to be a little bit different to look at. Some of our courses use very few supplementary materials. Most of the materials are part of what we would consider the vetted curriculum. For example, if we purchase, like ELA right now, we have Odell and EL that we're using in 7-8, Odell at the high school. Those materials come and are in their entirety vetted before use, as opposed to a curriculum that has many supplementary materials.
And if we look at that class, obviously, all of those we would be fine with. It's, are they
Yeah.
using anything extra?
Extra, it's all
And
those
that's what we're
extras.
looking
Yeah,
So this setup is being used and we're trying some of the materials to see how it works. And then after that, we're gonna end up, is it the same course or we're looking at something else?
we're gonna be looking at social studies
Okay,
course.
but we're looking at all the.
All the
okay,
supplementary
good,
material.
all right.
Once
I
we
just
have
want to
an
make sure
idea.
it wasn't like a pick and choose, because I'm like, okay, that kind of
No, we will
not what
look
we
at
were
all.
looking to be able to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's just pick and choose for the pilot.
No, that makes-
This work.
Yeah.
that makes me feel a lot better, because I'm glad when you guys like, says, oh, we're gonna look at all.
All,
of
no,
them.
for a course, we will look at all.
Okay, good.
We're really trying to just get an idea of, does this checklist work? Does the process work? What kind of timing? And what kind of investment are we gonna be looking at for time? Because, we would want 2 people to look at each piece of material. Hopefully, like I said, in a grouping and packet. And we'd want 2 people, and then when there's a decision of, is this appropriate, it may not be, then we would kick it up and have a review following that before we made a
Well,
final
hopefully we don't
decision.
run into.
Into
any
that
of
at
these
all,
things.
we're able to move through these.
So that was my question. My question was like, okay, so like I know the whole ILT is gonna look at this with the sample materials tomorrow. But then when it comes to like an entire course, are you just envisioning 2 people?
No,
doing
I'm
that? What are
envisioning
you
a
envisioning?
team, but each team getting a portion. So
Got
if we have, say, 8 people, you would have them work in pairs, and it would
Got
be
it.
like, say, okay, you're gonna do units 1 and 2, you're gonna do 3 and 4, and move through them. And then anything that is, that there is a concern about would be leveled up, and then we would look at that for a
That's
second review,
Got it. Leveled up within the group of 8, say.
within the group of 8.
And who are you envisioning making up this group of 8? Or
I'm gonna
not
be
doing
looking
that?
at that to be put out to staff who want to,
Oh,
as
okay.
a position, and people would be paid
Paid like a
the kind
stipend.
of stipend to do that review, and then would report out to ILT.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, because ILT is paid hourly anyway, so it would be similar.
Oh.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes, the teachers do receive that. Yeah. No, neither does admin, but the teachers who are on it, yes.
See,
Mhm.
remember that leftover ice cream?
So.
No, that sounds,
Feedback.
awesome.
listening.
listen,
Mhm.
good things happen for those who wait. That's all.
I think we're building a good system, it's just taking.
Are you preaching patience to yourself?
I'm
Mr.
just
Im-
saying, I'm just saying that, you know what, better late than never, but this is finally what I'm looking at. No, it's not. Well, I think I'm handling it quite well.
You're doing
for
great.
years after the fact.
You're doing wonderful.
All right, here we go. Sounds good,
Alright.
perfect,
So
next
that
one.
is that piece. So Pat.
Yep.
Second topic is
Yeah.
that. So you also received a chart that looks at all of the action steps proposed by Pat for immediate and for next school year. Those were reviewed by the admin team, and then they were also reviewed by the ILT. ILT looked at just the immediate, not the next school year. And we've kind of gone through and have a recommendation for you. So you received all of this from Pat.
Yeah.
And wanted to know what is.
It's not in
admin
this
for the
packet, it's the one that we
teachers.
got before, right?
I'm sorry.
Is it in this packet?
Well, this is the pared down version.
This is,
Right.
this is where we just have like what they.
This is what we think are priorities.
What they think are, so just a couple that I would wanna highlight, there was example of looking at extracurriculars to see, representation. Right away, ILT and admin said they know the barrier, and the barrier is transportation. The barrier isn't about other facets, it's about who can come based on who can actually get rides home. And that's a huge barrier. Later, we talked a little bit about some cultural awareness. One of the things that right away admin and ILT picked up on is that restorative justice. And that is a big buzzword and a lot of people are talking about it, but admin agreed, as does ILT, that we need to invest in the actual training for our administrators. So that is something that we have talked about at COPE, and we have found there's not a poncho at COPE. And there is a group, the IIRP, International Institute of Restorative Practices. They offer a number of trainings, and so we are looking at that for all admin for the summer. So that's moving forward already. Other things that were on here, there was a conversation around having school climate teams. Every building acknowledged they had some type of team that was working. And there is a conversation on tightening up to really focus that work, looking at our strategic objectives and really bringing in staff to ensure that anyone who wants to be a part of that conversation can be a part of it, and that there is a focused conversation. Other things for cultural awareness, for example, we had talked about, and a recommendation for PACT was some kind of school lunch expansion to look at world foods, and our school nutrition director is excited, next year having World Food Wednesday. I kind of liked Global Grub. She likes world foods. She thought it sounded a little more formal. So we're gonna be doing World Food Wednesday, so it will start with probably every other Wednesday, but it will just become like, on Wednesday, school lunch is gonna be something different. And looking at, for example, okay, we're gonna do maybe Thai food in October, Indian food, and it's just each month there's gonna be a different on Wednesdays, but the kids will know. We just don't know what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be pizza on Wednesdays. That
No,
it won't be.
so can I add a little suggestion on that? We did just 1 week of that in my school this year. And it was just one week, 5 days, different meals, right? The biggest hit of all though, was on the menu that went out was a link or links to the recipes, so the kids can go make it at home. I'm telling you, huge hit, like all the kids wanted to do was look at the recipes. So if we could somehow get recipes out there linked with this.
That's a great thing, just in general, for like kids to say to their parents, this is what we have in school that I love.
That's what I'm feeling like there's some crossover with
Yeah.
regard to communication at home and like making this bigger than just a school thing. So anyway, just it triggered my memory and it was.
Can we reverse that as well?
Like have
Like
the parents.
if
do
we've
something?
got, part of this is to expose the
That's a good
kids
idea.
to
Yeah.
other cultures that we have in our district. Why not, at the end of the year, send out a communication to all the parents saying we are looking to implement this in the fall. We would love to have some of your favorite recipes, stuff like that, that we could do at the school for the kids. If you've got any that would work or fit into this, please submit them.
Now, just a little
That's
word
great.
of warning, so like, and this is definitely like a food director, like.
Yeah, they may not be
thing.
able to do.
So no, one thing that we found is sometimes the recipes that got published were like the bulk serving
yeah.
recipes.
Right.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
serves 500,
Yeah, we don't-
right?
I know.
So like, okay, how does one scale that back for a
No, I have a cookie recipe at home that is to make, 500. cookies. Yes.
But I think,
That's a
I think
great
it would be
snack.
nice to reach out to the community.
We're looking for these.
And say, hey,
recipes.
look, we're looking for it, if we get 4 or 5, hey, look, we can have a,
Right,
who knows, a West African Day, or we can have, I mean, I don't know who we've got in the school.
so that
We've
just
got a lot of
crosses over
kids
the
from Ukraine.
collaboration.
So, this is my ignorance, but isn't there a PTA association?
We do have PTOs at the
Yeah.
2 elementaries.
But not all the way through?
No, the high school does not.
Is it something that could be encouraged? Because in my old school district, it was the PTA that used to run the multicultural events and the world lunch days. And parents would bring in the food and donate or contribute.
Well, so you can't bring in food though, because it needs to be
Yeah,
all
maybe not
prepackaged.
nowadays.
Yeah, nowadays we do all prepackaged.
Yeah, we have one
Unless
in
it's-
there.
And the allergy issues
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But the, it's something that, PTA can do. Some of the, especially the cultural awareness seems to fall, could be
Yeah.
shared.
Okay.
They could do this all season things, their kids allergic to the stuff.
They'll know.
So no, she's very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
whenever you get
So
started,
sending a recipe with
you
peanuts is
yeah,
probably a
yeah,
no-go.
yeah, so-
But I went to the food show that they did, so our vendor company had a huge food show. And we attended and it was very delicious food show to go to. But there's a lot of, this is like having more world cultural foods is a really big thing in school lunch anyway.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be really a lot easier than we think, because that is a huge push anyway, is to
It
be
is.
more
A lot of
inclusive.
it you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all made in accordance with the USDA guidelines that they have to have, yeah, for sure. So our next step would be, like I said, you guys be looking over some of this and being able to give some feedback, but we're starting to move a lot of the PACT initiatives. So I'm going to be reaching out to PACT to let them know where everything is, and then setting up probably a first meeting for them come fall.
Okay, so that goes back to the question I asked when they were all here.
Mhm.
The rationale and the reason and the justification for the committee to be put together was exactly for them to do exactly what they did, for us to be able to get
Mhm.
community members to be able to give us ideas that we could bring to administration, be able to implement. It was not intended to, nor is it in their mandate to oversee, run, supervise. That's not what that committee was set up for. I know when I asked when they were here if they thought that they had fulfilled their mandate, and the answer was no. Okay, that's fine. But if they want to continue to meet, I'm fine with that, but it is to continue to bring forward ideas.
Mhm.
It's not, that subcommittee was not created for anything other than that.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that they can't. Maybe we have to get a different subcommittee, maybe we need to involve the town, because I know some of the stuff that came up was, we'd love to be able to integrate this or involve more of community to try to get the town, and that can be something that we can reach out to the select board or something to see if we can have like a joint something, but I don't know how that would work, but I just want to make sure that when PAC starts up in the fall again, that they're reminded what the subcommittee was put together for. I can leave it open. It's up to the chair to open or close that subcommittee. But if they've got more ideas, fantastic. I'm all for that. But if they want to try to turn it into a oversight, making sure that we're doing this or that you're following through, that's not what that subcommittee was created for.
But I do think that that if the committee were to continue, I think that it would be reasonable for there to be a shift in focus. Because initially the focus was generating the ideas. That's been done. The ideas are now being reviewed and prioritized.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next step is implementation. But because the whole philosophy behind this was widening these priorities beyond those of just the school walls, and that fostering community engagement, ability to make this happen is bigger than just us, right?
Yeah.
So we need help in, as we move forward with some of these things, in actually making them happen. And some of the people that were on that committee, would be excellent people in assisting, or just kind of being liaisons with the community in making some of these things
And
happen.
that's what I was referencing.
And
I don't,
totally
I don't
okay
disagree with that, but but when our policies are very specific with respect to how a subcommittee can be like a, I can't, what exactly yeah, it's like an advisory committee.
Yes,
Okay, that's what this committee is.
okay.
It has to be created with a specific goal,
Mhm.
a specific mandate, and it doesn't have to have a time frame, but you open it and you close it. It doesn't stay on forever. You're almost agreeing with what I said, that what they were initially mandated and created to do has been accomplished.
Yes.
Now, if that's the case,
Do
great.
we need to revise
No, it
then
doesn't
the
get revised. It
priorities
gets,
for them?
no, it doesn't get revised.
Okay,
It gets closed. Now, if there is a new subcommittee or a new advisory committee with a different mission and a different purpose that we want to open up and do, that's fine. But based on what you're talking about and what they said, they're looking to get this, it's almost bigger than just school committee. It's community.
Mhm.
It's the select board. I don't know whether that group with that mission necessarily falls under an advisory committee to a school committee. It almost needs to be bigger where it's, and I don't know what bigger turns into or what it looks like or how, or if it needs to get created by us. I mean, that's something we can certainly look into. But it's not something that we can just simply adjust the mandate of
Almost like
the.
a PTO on steroids, it's
You got
almost
it.
like a community.
Well, they've got a very specific mission that they're trying to advocate for.
right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't wanna
do
just,
know
I don't
what you
wanna,
mean.
I don't wanna
I-
stop this momentum.
Right, well,
But-
it
but
was a
we-
good, it was a productive group.
Yes,
A productive group with ties to the community
Yeah.
in varying ways. And I definitely did feel like there were some members that were very capable of helping us to take this to the next level. And
Don't
I
disagree.
wouldn't
I
want
just don't know where that
to
level
end
is.
that.
So I think one thing I've been thinking about is you have people who would be really good on individual school councils to help in that aspect also. So maybe part of this is also moving towards having some of the members, because we are always looking for people on our individual school councils to really work with the individual principals. And then also that helps, with PTO as tie over, but like our individual school counselors, we're often looking for people, especially community members, to bring us those different perspectives and.
So maybe not forming a new group, but correctly aligning
Maybe
people
having
in the
different
right
groups
conditions to
and
make
stuff.
stuff happen.
Okay, so hang on 1 second, say that.
And your school council looks over your school improvement plan, school strategic. They get input into that.
That may be the solution.
So would you like anything from us?
Well, I don't know, I did
Regarding
this
this.
on your behalf.
No,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, no, I know, I know.
How.
And I can see going through this that there are like, the ones that Pact came up with and then sort of your responses to it, like, yeah, we feel like we should move forward on this one, or this is already being done, or, we feel that this is a barrier, blah, blah, blah. So like, is there anything input from us that you need before you go back with the committee in September?
Well, I think
I don't.
so based on what the committee was created for. If we continue the committee, I'm okay with that if it's going to generate more and further ideas. That's what the committee was created for. If it's not gonna come up with other ideas, then they fulfill their role. And then maybe we have them on the school councils or whatever, and we don't have to make this decision like today. But from this part, what I would be interested in, and I think might be beneficial for the school committee is, and it doesn't mean to be on June the 16th, but at the beginning of next fall. What I think might be helpful is, okay, so we've done this last year. here are the things that we have implemented and that we're looking to either continue or grow or progress. Here are some of the ideas that we came up on our own from an administrative perspective and here's what we've done. Here are the ideas that we got from Pat, and here's where they are, and here's what we've done and what we're looking to do. Super, just a summary of where we are, because if we were looking at where we were at the beginning of the school year, didn't really have anything. We had a couple that we knew we were working on, but that's why we created the PAC committee, was to get some additional community ideas to help us make the kids feel more welcomed and inclusive and all of that. So they've certainly done that. And I think it might be helpful for us to know exactly, okay, well, here's the snapshot. What have we done? Here's where we are. Here's what we're looking
Well, I
to
mean,
do.
I think that for some of these, we just kind of need to like an implementation plan and like whose bucket does this fall into?
I see some of them falling into some of the strategic initiatives that each of the buildings is doing.
Well, maybe that's the
You know, and
third
I'm
column. Here's what we've got.
Right,
Here's where it is.
right.
Here's who's responsible for
Some
it.
of them are district level, some of them
Yeah.
building.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Where are we doing it? Who's responsible?
Yeah,
and
you're
then
right,
that way
you're
we've got
right.
An idea.
you're right. And maybe that's what needs to happen at that September meeting is like, okay, well, this is what you guys come up with. These are the ones that we've identified as priorities. Now, next column, this is the implementation plan in terms of, you know, who's going to be responsible for this.
Where are they doing this?
I don't know.
They would do it to us.
No, like
They're
that.
not reporting that to the PAC committee.
No, maybe that's the next job of the PAC committee.
It won't be that's the mandate was created for them to give us ideas.
Okay, so then
Right, you know what I
then
mean?
my
I'm not
question
saying
is,
we
what's
stop
the purpose of the September PAC meeting then? It's my question.
Because they said they weren't
They
done.
sell, they were pretty clear that they weren't done, so I wanted to be able to bring them back together and talk about, you know, where are they still seeing need for ideas, where are they? And I think they want to also be able to, as things unfold, say, okay, here's some ideas we had. These don't seem to be working, or they do, here's where we're still seeing pockets of idea, of need that we can try to fill.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
This is gonna be a genesis. They're gonna have to move through this.
Got it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much.
One last thing before
Yep.
I'm done, I do wanna alert you that in the past few years, we have run the Title I summer camp. And that is, I let you know that at this point, we're not seeing the ability of the district to fund that, and that's something I know that you talked about last year. So we did hold over some Title I funds, hoping to run it, but the cost last year and the amount of Title I that was held, it's not possible. So it cost us close to $60,000 to run it last year. And the funding right now that we have is more like 19,000 coming out of the Title I.
We knew this was gonna be
Yeah,
a result of this anyway.
yeah, because we started with Easter funds, et cetera, and so that we run out. But before I send anything out to families and let people know, I wanted to come to you
Understood.
guys because
And there's no way to run it just on a much scaled down basis, you know, like fewer number of kids, fewer number of days. Is there any way to run it, but
So we ran it for,
before, right?
it was free for a week.
exactly.
It was free for 1 week.
Paying some
Pretty expensive. To me, it would create equity issue.
Equity.
We would have to drastically reduce the numbers. Like, we would have to literally probably fund about a third of, we'd only have to be about a third of the kids last year.
And then try to figure out who gets to go.
Yeah.
That's where it would be.
That would be better.
Well, I mean, I think that it would have to be.
A lottery.
You wouldn't be able to do all ages. You'd have to focus on a group. You know, you'd have to focus on like grades, you know, 3 through 6 or something like that. You know what I mean? You would.
Is this something that I'm assuming because of timing, be extremely difficult to try to put into place for this year?
Yes.
If we look at a revamped, what it would look like, smaller numbers, different grades, specific grades, could this be something that gets resurrected next year if we work within that and try to see if there's a way to make that work?
We could try to see it to.
I mean, we can't promise it,
Yeah.
But I mean, if we try to make it work now, I don't think we're gonna. But if they could, we have a little hiatus, And then we, summer camp 2.0, whatever it looks like, we can have an option of maybe doing next year.
But I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but if the option works, then it can
I
work.
mean, right now, our Title I funding is going towards the school year salaries.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the camp cost us a teacher. A 1 week camp cost us a teacher.
A full year reading intervention.
So funding wise, I think that while it's a great program, I just think, yeah,
That's what I mean.
it's.
Look at it, don't spend 85,000 hours, I mean, if it's for something, if you were to say, look, how could I restructure this to make this work with what we've got available? It doesn't work, or you know what, we can do this.
I mean, it.
Right, I mean, if you put it to me like it's that or a teacher, then, obviously.
And that's what, right now, that's what it is. We're, a full year reading intervention, in one of the buildings or a 1 week camp. It's hard
If you
to.
go to camp, we can go to read.
They don't wanna read at camp, they wanna do all
I
STEM
know.
projects.
Yeah, that's true.
They just wanna do some.
Camp, it's mainly STEM stuff.
It's awesome,
Yeah.
it's awesome. Yeah, it's.
Oh,
it's
it's
a-
cool, as if we had like
Yeah,
high school students
yeah,
that
we
make
use a
their
company,
time
Camp
to work with the
Intervention.
younger kids.
I can tell you
Yeah.
that the
that
camp
would be
convention
awesome.
supplies that we purchase and the curriculum,
Oh,
it's amazing, but it is $25,000.
okay,
What portion of it? Having the people come and
Lot.
like it.
That
Provides a position. Just additional.
They
volunteer.
volunteer. They do a volunteering as like a camp counselor almost with the kids, and then you have a teacher who teaches
But
the
you
actual
can't
STEM
have,
material.
right, you need to take you can't have the high school kids alone with the kids, so it's a paid teacher plus one or two high school kids in there.
okay, well, thank you very much.
So I will be putting that out official, now that I've told you guys.
Sounds
so
good.
that you know.
All right, policies. Second reading. Student discipline and student conduct on buses, which is and the reason, somebody remind me why, and support services, see attached on section F, facilities development.
You say the reports.
Hang on,
That normally supposed to.
sorry, no, it's okay, I just thought the page would turn.
Yeah.
So, yes,
We gotta do
reports,
reports.
Superintendent Willard, is there a report? No report. Nick, you got any reports?
I don't have much. We did get a draft audit report finally last week from the auditor for the big audit. But it's only in draft form now. Somebody higher up in the firm needs to approve it before it's official. So I anticipate being able to give you the report on the 16th. I would hope. I've not seen the end of the year report draft out yet. We're hoping this is like a one-off this year. I mean, this report should have been done months ago. But, the company was bought, I think, twice. And, there was just, I think, trouble getting materials to the correct people or whatever, but now that things are more stable. I think next year.
If it's not, then we need to revisit.
Correct.
Okay.
I would agree with
Awesome.
that.
So them interviewing me was part of last year's report or this year's report?
It had to be the FY24.
Oh, okay. Because they wanted to talk to, the chairman, I'm like, I've never done this before. Okay, I'll see if the new company. Okay.
What about? Oh, yeah, the operating budget was passed in both Granville and Tolland at the town meetings. Last week.
The vote tomorrow doesn't matter, the operating budget.
The capital budget, an amended version of it, was passed also at both town meetings. It was passed with an amendment to decrease it by $100,000. With the, hinging upon the CPC funding being able to be used for the track or part of the track project. So that's where we are with that. So tomorrow night, Southwick Town meeting, everything should be official after
We have
that.
a couple gymnastic things that we have to do with warrant articles. This somehow the CPC warrant article is after the school committee one, so.
Yes, we're gonna have to move that
Yeah.
ahead, make a motion to move it.
And we have a draft, or no. What we got was no new draft for the warrant article, correct, for the
The town's attorney said to leave the language as is.
Leave it as is.
That's what, Aaron, you sent me that this morning.
So we're not amending, reducing it by 100,000?
I don't think we have to because the other two towns already did that.
Okay.
So like we have the cap of what we can borrow based on that.
Based on our towns.
Yes, that's my understanding.
So you don't need to change the language, you just need to acknowledge that you're voting on an amount that's less than what's written. I mean, I know in Granville that would not fly.
So that's
But
what,
that's why there are attorneys there.
Okay.
Yeah,
For anything
these
that's
are
going on.
uncharted waters for me, so,
Alright.
you know, I'm not
I'll
gonna.
let the
so I have a
attorney-
question. Can you, is there any way, because we've got the warrant article, right? Okay, can you just, because I'm not, unfortunately, I can't be there tomorrow night. Can you just print off an amended version of that with the amount 100,000 less and make sure that Russ has that? So that way
Well,
if we
if
need
we're
it,
following that rule that town council came up, we don't have to move the other article.
right, we don't even need to move it.
But was it Ben Coyle that sent it?
I think that used to be my email.
I didn't think about that, we don't
I'll
even
try
need
to
to move
reach
it
out to
then.
Ben tomorrow
Okay.
just to get clarification.
Just do me a favor,
Okay.
make sure that he's armed with what we need, just in case there's a revolt on the floor. Because if we don't have a typed up amendment, we can't legally
We have
do
a typed
anything,
up
correct?
amendment.
We have a text up one.
Okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
with the 100,000 lower?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
make sure Mr. Fox gets that before he leaves tonight. And then that way,
But just give a copy to Ben and give a copy to the moderator.
we'll have 3 copies, let's have 3 copies.
In case Ben says we should do it.
Yeah.
But if he says we don't have to, then we don't even have to move that other
Right.
article forward. But I mean,
I would like to.
it's disingenuous.
Yeah, I
to the
know.
voters.
Right,
Just, they're gonna say, what?
yeah,
Right,
why are we
exactly.
doing this?
You know,
Yeah,
I mean.
Why are we borrowing
Right.
like X when we can do it X minus 100,000?
It's a positive thing,
Right,
correct.
you know, for the town to say, look, we're using community preservation for the 100,000 for the restoration portion of this, and we're using the other 92 for the maintenance portion.
Yeah.
You know, so just, it's cleaner.
I don't
I don't know
disagree.
why Ben doesn't want to do it, I'll ask him.
okay,
And I did get an itemized quote from the vendor that gave the original quote.
Yeah.
Just to break it down by like what each, you know, piece of the project would cost. You know, if you wanna look at it as restoration versus maintenance, I've got a itemized quote,
okay, super.
should we need it.
Hopefully we don't.
Other than that, I'm.
Right, report.
Question,
Yes, sir.
where are we with our director of building and ground?
Yeah,
Still in process. We interviewed 2 additional candidates a couple of weeks ago. And we've been essentially in negotiations with one of them.
Okay. That's good, so hopefully good news for the next meeting.
I hope so.
Okay. That's good. Stay positive. Okay, now on to the second page.
alright,
Right.
there we go.
Policies. So we got JIC student discipline, JICC student conduct on buses. Section E, support services, and section F, facility development, all second readings. Somebody remind me why they're all second readings? No? Aaron? What did we need to adjust to these that they're second reading that we're gonna fix in third reading and vote through next meeting?
Nothing, it's just that we give them first, second, and third.
Right, next
Why
meeting,
is
they would be
JIC
approved.
separate though?
I thought we,
Because we're not at J yet.
We had to do that for the handbooks, the JIC.
There we go. No, I knew there was a reason. I just like, there's a reason we have to do this earlier than what we're
Okay.
doing.
Oh.
I wasn't
It's
understanding.
for the
what you
handbook.
were
I wasn't
asking.
doing that.
Okay, no, well, that's why I forgot, and I like, somebody remind me, because I know there's a reason, because it's on the agenda, and there was a reason that we did it. So, these policies all have slight adjustments that we need to put into place. So that they can put the handbooks out for next year, and can't wait for us to get through the rest of the policy before we do the section J. So, anybody have any questions on this? Oh, yeah. Third reading tonight, section C, general school administration, section D, fiscal management, see attached indexes. That's in our packet too. Double check. Is that here?
It might be only the digital.
It's like, it's not even a lot of paper.
Right here,
Okay.
right behind those other policies.
Oh, yeah, there.
Oh, the,
Index, just the indexes.
That's fine.
Oh.
Every policy would be a whole thing.
yeah. Okay, third. So it's third read, because we've already got those done?
You have to do a third reading
Oh, here they are.
tonight, and then they get approved, just like the last meeting, we did the third reading of
So these are,
A and B.
these are the ones that we've gone through.
Yeah.
We've gone through, we fixed them for the most part. What we found is a lot of them were accepting masks program,
Yeah.
mask policy and getting rid of ours from 2005. So we're gonna end up having a vote here for section C for all of the things in section D for all the policies
Now,
to get approved.
at the last meeting, when the question, the procurement and then the donation question came up and we figured out what was the issue was there. Do we need to make any modifications to section D? Remember that question that Nick brought up? And I remember
Yeah,
you,
we
there
got
was,
an
there were,
email
yep,
about
there
it.
was some
Now I know
follow-up
why I'm-
emails
now
about
I know
that.
why I'm heavy on this, because this is
Oh.
what we missed.
We just
Oh,
Correct,
yeah.
it's procedure.
I'm like, why am I not, why don't I know?
Yeah, we need it.
Yep, we did, and remember, like, Aaron put something out and then Nick replied, and then, yes, it was, and then. Yeah, okay, let me find it.
Yeah, we need like some sort of written procedure regarding
Right.
disposal of surplus property.
Right, exactly.
Which, you know, if you look across the state, a lot of school committees do include it in their policy manual. Some don't. And then just treat it as a procedure, like,
Okay, so they're treating it as a procedure.
you know, but regardless, like, anything over valued at over $10,000, like you just follow MGL chapter 30B, like it's, you don't need a policy for that, you gotta follow the law,
Okay.
right? But items valued at less than $10,000, like we just need some sort of written, you know. What are we gonna do with it? Do we advertise it in a certain place or a couple of certain places?
So right now we have nothing?
Not that I can find.
We have,
I found like what's been done in the past, but I don't see anything codified.
Right.
Essentially, I found a template of one.
So does it need to be a policy or does it need to be a procedure?
You can do it either way, that's up to you.
Okay, either way, it doesn't necessarily affect what we've got, because we didn't have anything in there that dealt with it, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so
Correct.
what we
Here,
may need
It's
to
an
do is,
omission,
we
meaning that.
we need to approve these,
Okay,
and then we need to, in policy,
okay,
our next policy subcommittee meeting, we will address that omission and figure out whether we're gonna make a policy for it or put it in procedure. Make sense?
okay.
We don't want
Good with
How are
that?
we gonna remember that?
Well,
He
Aaron,
does.
somebody's writing a note.
Oh, I'm not gonna forget, that's why I came today.
You should have reminded us
Yeah,
today.
we're busy, I wasn't on your agenda, so I didn't wanna like, you know,
Oh.
steamroll your
Oh,
meeting.
come on, next time speak up.
All right, listen, if something that needs to be on the agenda, you just let me know, we'll add it.
Yeah, I mean, I found like a template from another school district, and I mean, it's just simple.
So then what we'll do, our next policy subcommittee meeting, Nick will come. And at the first of the meeting, we will take care of this and we'll put it to bed whether we need to be a policy or a procedure.
And did we not schedule policy until September anyway?
Yeah, we're not gonna do it till September anyway.
And that's okay, it's not like we don't need it tomorrow.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
no, that's fine.
No, as I just wanted to make sure that we were okay to
Yeah.
move through section.
As long, I don't think we have a policy that addresses this, so that shouldn't slow down the
Okay.
process of approving the updated ones that we've got. That are up for vote tonight.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it shouldn't slow this.
Any other discussion on this before we move forward? All right. You ready? We got a bunch. All right.
Move
Okay.
to approve consent agenda items as listed above recommended.
So,
second.
This is the easiest one. All in favor? Aaron, let the record show. Motion passes 5-0.
Move to accept the donation of $2,000 for an ice cream truck sponsored by the Bachelor family for the Powder Mill School field trip to Wally Park on June 12, 2025. Recommended.
I'm so moved.
Awesome.
Who's gonna
I
do
want
it?
to go to,
Say, I
I'm
have a
confident we could go to the field trip.
I
Alright.
have a third grader, I could go.
Yeah, but I think the school committee, we can go to any field trip you want.
Not work that day, but you know, it's.
All right, any other questions? All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Move to waive the third reading policy JIC student discipline recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so remind me again why we're waiving these?
You gotta get them in the handbook.
Handbook.
Oh, yeah, that's right, okay, thank you.
Right, so we're leaving the third reading and we are approving those that are at second reading tonight.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Move to waive the third reading policy JICC student conduct on buses recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody else have comment? All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Move to approve policy JIC student discipline recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Do we need to have that, 1 second, do we need to have that same waive third reading too? Because that was
We did.
technically, okay. So we're gonna amend that, waive third reading
We
of,
We did it. The C.
C.
oh, forget it, sorry, my bad. Okay, let's just skip forward. All in favor?
Approving it.
Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500. Now I got it.
Move to approve policy JICC student
I
conduct on
didn't bring my
buses.
thing tonight.
Do.
So moved.
Second.
I'm moving the Mountain Dew.
All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Move to approve the 25-26 handbook changes for Southwick Regional School recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All right, all in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Move to approve the 25-26 handbook changes for Potter Middle School. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aaron, let the record show that passes 500.
Move to approve the 25-26 handbook, six handbook changes for Woodland School recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Look at this preemptive hands. All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
I guess I'll do this one thing.
Yes,
Be it resolved that the Southwick Holland Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Ted Locke in recognition of 22 years of excellence as a school committee member. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Holland Granville Regional Schools, and a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
awesome. Unfortunately, Ted's not with us tonight. He has been an absolute pleasure to deal with for years. I know I've been, you've dealt with him for 8, 9, is your 9th year, 10th year?
Somewhere along there.
Right, so, you know what, I wish Ted was here tonight, but we do have a little
Yeah.
thing for Ted that we're gonna get him. Yeah,
And your little speech at the meeting is really nice.
oh, very good, you gave him a little kudos at the, oh, very nice.
Nice, was he there?
He was there. He was there.
Good, good, good.
Yeah, they don't have meetings without Ted being there.
I just wanted to acknowledge him in front of
It's really
the whole
That's
committee.
awesome,
Good, good.
very, very good. All right, all in favor of this motion? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500.
Be it resolved that the Southwick Holland Granville School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Desiree Maloney in recognition of 3 years of service as a school committee member. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Holland Granville Regional Schools, and a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. And Desiree is gonna be able to, with me, take the last little benefit from being a school committee member, that she'll be able to give her 2 daughters their diplomas in a couple of weeks during graduation. So that is gonna be very exciting for all of us, and it'll be the last one I get to give. And Pam gets to do it next year, right?
I'm tearing up already.
Do I stay on? Well,
It's fun. It's fun. It's very cool when you get to do that.
I'm just gonna cry.
It's next year. We got a whole year. I'll bring Mountain Dew for you. I'll bring Mountain Dew. You'll be all, everything's better with Mountain Dew.
Dedicate that.
All right, all in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 500. And last but not least, Jen, I think we got one more.
Stand up and hand.
Oh, no. stand up and hand it to him? How about we read it?
Be it resolved that the Southwick Tolling Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Russell Fox in recognition of 2 years of excellence as a school committee member. We are hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, dedicated service, and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tolling Granville Regional Schools, and a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this district.
Oh, move.
And I need a second.
Second, but I don't
All
wanna
right,
let you go.
fantastic. Well, we'll vote on it in a second. Well, hang on, let me go give this to Mr. Fox.
You gotta get a picture, where's the cameras? Where's the, who's got the phone? Who's got a phone?
Okay, you guys have a phone?
I got you.
Get a picture. Mr. Fox, thank you very much for your help for the last few years. We are very.
Wonderful.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
look, here we go.
Steve will do it.
I got it. Oh, Steve's got it.
Magnolia got it. 10 minutes to
Say
do.
cheese.
I know, seriously.
I know.
I'll send it to Aaron. All right, that'll work. That'll work. Thank you very much, Mr. Fox. Can I get a show of hands to accept this motion? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 4-0-0. Mr. Fox
One
abstained.
abstention.
Abstained, congratulating himself. And I think we have one more.
What is that thing?
I don't know. Josh, you ready?
Be it resolved that the Southwick Tolling Granville Regional School Committee hereby extends its congratulations to Magnolia Dickinson in recognition of dedicated service as a student representative to the school committee. We hereby convey our sincere appreciation for your valuable efforts, your dedicated service and assistance rendered, which has enhanced the image of the Southwick Tolling Granville Regional Schools. And a record of these resolutions shall be permanently entered into the minutes of this school district. Recommended.
I gotta get a picture with you. Oh, it's Bob Watson. Oh, you were?
Absolutely. Say cheese.
Cheese.
There you go.
Okay, can I go with my glasses
Where
on?
are you going?
I'm going to Salve Regina University.
Ah,
Just tell me when you're ready.
I don't know, bad allergies, so, all
I'll send it.
right, I'll make sure it's crafty.
Very good. So Salve Regina,
Right
what
on the
are you
clip.
taking?
Plus.
It's a mouthful.
Oh, okay,
So I'm majoring in criminal justice.
okay, awesome.
I have a minor in psychology,
Yep,
and it was supposed to be a dual major, but it's gonna end up being an accelerated master's for international relations.
okay, so what do you wanna do?
Such a good question. I originally wanted to do something like international policy and like maybe working for an ambassador, but I think also moving towards crime and like working with other countries to fight like international crime, like working together to try to combat.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So cool.
Okay,
Okay, I wrote series on that.
all right,
Yeah.
very good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll see you in a couple weeks when we get
Yeah.
award ceremonies and all that fun stuff and graduation.
Newport, Rhode Island, right?
Yeah.
Right on-
Really,
Right on
very
the clock.
cool,
I
very
love
cool.
it, yeah.
I have business down there every now and then, so I may call you up lunch next year. If I'm down there, we'll.
I do every year.
All right, so we need to vote and approve this wonderful resolution. Can I get a show of hands to approve the motion? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 5-0-0. I would say, Josh, big shoes, bud. We keep getting better and better. Now, do we have, so I have a question. Who do we have coming in for second chair next year? Have we
We do
figured
not
that out
have an
yet?
official person. We
Oh.
have names. Yeah, because we're.
Are they afraid to join me?
We haven't,
they're
we
afraid
haven't
to.
talked to them yet.
Oh.
So we're filling that position, then we have the PAC position and then other stuff,
PAC.
the Principals Advisory Committee.
I really don't care what this one's. All right.
But yeah, so we have a couple juniors in mind, I
Okay.
suggest names, but yeah, the shortest figuring it all out.
Okay, all right, so when do we think that, are we gonna have, I would hope, I would hope that we could have this person maybe come to our meeting on the 16th of June, have it picked and chosen and ready for prime time? No.
Can't imagine they wouldn't have done by then.
Yeah, so maybe you can help with that, that would be great. All right, fantastic, well, congratulations, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Josh, it's all you. So on the 16th, it's just you and whoever hopefully second chair.
Yes.
All right, are you excited? You look really excited.
Thrilled.
All right, off we go to subcommittees, negotiations, we're still in negotiations. Yeah, we have to reach out to them. And I told Aaron,
Okay.
yeah, Aaron, we're gonna reach out, right? Okay, awesome. Finance, we don't do finance right now because we're waiting for the towns to approve, get 2 out of 3, so. Technically, our operational budget is approved.
It is, but I think we need to have a meeting by the end of June.
Why? Just to have
No.
ice cream meeting?
No. I'll buy ice cream. I just bought it for. Because there's a potential budget, it's not gonna affect the budget, we just want potentially. Just things have changed since January, we potentially need an additional special ed teacher up at the regional school.
Yay.
Because of IEPs that have been written, but we know where the money's coming from because potentially an out-of-district student is going to be leaving our district.
Oh.
So, but we don't have anything definitive yet, but I wanted to bring it by FinCom because it wasn't in the budget and I can't just add, even though the money's in the budget, I can't just add a position without getting FinCom's approval.
Right, okay.
I just wanted to have.
So we need another
FinCom.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. LPVAC, Aaron, did we find out when this May meeting is?
Phyllis, I believe, is going to email both of you and me with the date.
Well, no, I know, but we're
Well,
running out of
it takes
dates
time.
in May.
I mean, if I need to attend a meeting this week or next week, I kind of need to know.
Because this is the one they were rescheduling, right?
I thought she said it would be May 28th. I think I forwarded an email from her where she hasn't followed up with me, so I will follow up.
Okay, can we confirm that real quick, because we're,
I never
our seat,
received anything
our seats
about
on the
that
line.
yet.
That email?
No, I never received anything about a May 28th meeting.
Okay, if you can
So-
confirm that tomorrow for Pam, that would be awesome. Okay, corporation, we don't have any policy, we just had a meeting today, we are 3/4 of the way through J. Right, we're getting there. Buildings and grounds. We probably can wait till fall, right?
Yeah.
ILT, you guys we heard about ILT today, so you guys are gonna do some stuff during the summer.
Well, we've got a meeting tomorrow,
There you
so
go.
tomorrow is our.
Very good.
one.
Wellness, everybody's well, so we're good. We got TBD, we don't even have anybody on wellness, apparently, so. SPED.
No.
Next,
Thank you.
Sounds like it's not tomorrow.
No, this is still.
It has to be the beginning of June. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's not tomorrow.
You scared me, but no.
Okay.
Well, that's good. I had it on my calendar that it was for tomorrow.
Just
So-
like, just get told we have to do that by
Yeah.
the 28th
Yes, they
or,
a lot.
or something along those lines. Okay,
Right, I'm prepared again.
Sorry.
I know, I just sometimes put my
Alright.
email.
I'm mixing up my meetings.
Yes.
technology, capital committee not doing athletics, I'm setting up a meeting next week. Next week, we already set up. Legislative liaison, we'll deal with that in the fall. Public comment, there's nobody here for public comment. And committee, okay, old business, right. So, one thing that was on the agenda tonight that is not on the agenda tonight is being moved forward is the review of Superintendent Willard's evaluation. I was the one that was last to try to get it done, and technology didn't work this weekend and I couldn't get it done. So we're pushing it. I know. So I'll have it all together so we can go over that next week or next meeting. The other thing, just to let everybody know, so our next meeting will be our reorganizational meeting. This school committee for its year is concluding tonight. Thank you, everybody, for all your support, help, dedication, hours. So next meeting, after we have our 3 town meetings, which will be tomorrow, the next meeting on June 16th, we will have 2 new school committee members. Jen Burkholder, Melissa Morrissey, won the election positions in the town of Sussex. They, my understanding, will be sworn in tomorrow night. So they will be here at our meeting on June 16th, and Superintendent Willard starts that meeting off, and we will hold I know you love that meeting. It's 2 minutes and then it's done. And then we will re-elect a chairman, vice chairman, and a secretary, like we do every year.
So, and that's June 16th. Do
June
we
16th.
not have a meeting June 2nd?
No, we're pushing it.
Okay,
Pushing it, it was pushed to the 9th and then we had to push it to the 16th.
okay, all right, so.
So it's gonna be the 16th, that'll be our last one
And
for
that's
this.
our last one.
Last one for the year. Yep,
We're getting dates for the retreat or the coming summer.
oh gosh, that's so far down the road, but yes, we will, not next week, or not next meeting. I know, we'll figure it out, we'll do the lovely little, here are the dates and you pick what ones that you can do and we'll end up picking a different date, I don't know, it's always fun. Just Judy, what we do is we try to have one meeting August, middle of August-ish, and we
We try to, I
usually,
never have.
usually we have it, where did we?
Tux Club.
Yeah.
Usually it's in Tom.
In Holland, Ted had got us into the Tungus Club, and we have it, we don't have to have it up there.
You got neighbor Granville
Oh,
too.
I
there you
can
go.
do that, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Either way, we did one in Granville last year.
One in
We did-
Granville,
we did in Granville.
Yeah, and then the year before, we also did.
Top Tux.
2 years ago, we did it in Texas, last year we did it in Granville.
I don't think I
So,
did.
this year maybe.
No,
we did
last year we did it here, the year before.
Yes, there you go.
And the year before
I
that.
know, I know I was in Granville.
See, when you've been on for 4 years, you rotate through at least once. Okay,
We've been on hard.
anybody got anything for new business?
To rescind
Huh?
what we talked about in policy, that we're giving a heads up about.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Goodness.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
we are rescinding a policy concerning, help me out, Aaron,
The advanced placement.
advanced placement. We have had this discussion year after year, and I've had conversations with Aaron, I've had conversations with Serena, I had a conversation with the superintendent. And once again, we're hearing that a number of these kids, we are currently paying $75 or more for every one of our kids that are in an AP class to take that exam no matter what, whether they're gonna study for it or not. What is traditionally happening is some of them are taking 2, 3, 4 exams. They're not studying for all 4 because they can't, so they're just studying for 2, but yet we're forcing them to take the other 2, and we're wasting $150 or $75 a pop to do that. What we're looking to recommend is that in the fall, that the student, there's a date that they have to acknowledge this by, but they would opt in to the exam. Where they would go to guidance, let them know what exams they're going to, that they want to take. So that we stop wasting our money on exams that they're not even studying. But what we have to do from a procedure perspective is we need to basically rescind that policy, we're turning it into a procedure. But we need to rescind the policy to make sure that the policy is dead. Because they're gonna start having conversations with the families in the next couple of weeks. So we didn't want to spring that on everybody tonight without any sort of advance warning. But the results of this is gonna be frankly all positive. From a student perspective, there's no sense in them even wasting their time doing an AP exam that they're not studying for. From a financial perspective, the district should not be paying $75 for an exam that the student knows that they're not studying for. We are all in agreement that what we want to still do is still pay for it, but let's pay for the ones that they're actually gonna try.
If they wanted to.
How many AP classes did you take this year?
I only took one.
Okay, so that makes it easy.
Yeah.
But you know, back me up here, there's a
Yeah.
number of your classmates that took multiple AP classes
Yeah.
and they're not studying for all of them.
Or they take it because they like the teacher and they don't care about the class.
Exactly. And the other thing that we've also run into is by cutting out a lot of our honors classes, we're now forcing more kids into, if they want something a little bit more rigor, they have to go into the AP. They don't want to take that exam either, but they want to take the harder class. So this just allows everybody to do what they want. And at the end of the day, we can save money that we shouldn't be wasting.
So there's just one little point to bring up to that. Is that. You know, these courses are structured with the AP test being the end goal in mind, right? So many of the exams and the assessments throughout the semester are genuine College Board.
Yeah.
Practiced exams and assessments. And what I would not want is the teacher to feel undermined by students being like, I don't need to do this because I'm not gonna take the test at the end of the semester. You know, I don't wanna see a reduction in rigor of those courses. I would not wanna see an alternative assessments
Mhm.
being offered, because one of the values of these of these courses is that they are standardized, they're standardized by a college board. And that the more actual college board assessments you have within the course, the better the students do on the exams. So regardless of whether 50% of the class is taking the exam or not, I still do, I don't wanna see the structure or the assessments of that class change, and I wouldn't wanna see the rigor of the class change. Because you have kids who are maybe less invested when they know from the get-go that they're not gonna take that exam at the end of the semester. So
I would challenge you, that's happening right now. If it's gonna affect it, it's happening right now anyway.
Then Cass, I just don't wanna.
No, but so when they do those and this, and I'm gonna plead ignorance on this. When they do those assessments during the year, are they graded on
That's
them?
what I was just gonna ask.
Okay, well then if they're graded on them,
On the teacher and the
Okay.
course.
but if they're graded on them, it's not gonna reduce the rigor because they need to
Right.
get a grade on it. If they're not graded on it, and the student already knows that setup that you talked about
Mhm.
is already alive and well right now. Cause if that student knows they're not gonna study for this test anyway. If they're not gonna try, they're not gonna try. We don't need, I'm not proposing we change anything other than. It makes no sense to me whatsoever from a financial perspective for this district to be paying $75 for a test. That they know before they even go into it, that they don't care. Cause you're defeating the whole purpose. Why are we paying for it? That concern that you've got. The risk is there right now, if they don't have any gradings on these things. that
I
we do.
agree, it's just there's more of an incentive for a teacher to incorporate more of the college board exams when a greater percentage of the students are taking the college board exam.
In good educational practice, is for the kids to take those because AP classes are supposed to mirror the rigor of college. So
Exactly.
they need to understand the rigor of college.
Exactly.
That's the whole purpose of the
Exactly.
APs.
And I just wouldn't want to
Or the
take that
AP course.
motivation away.
I'm with you.
But that can count as more towards the final grade, so instead of taking the AP test, they could take maybe a past year's AP test instead as a replacement. So they're still getting the rigor, it's just not,
What
they're
are
not
we doing,
wasting.
what are we
time.
doing now? Like if, when they had AP pre-cal or all the AP classes took their exams recently, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the results or the scores of those. From my understanding, impact your grade 0. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So whether we do it or we don't do it, or they study or they don't, there is 0 impact to their grade.
Mhm.
The only difference is, do we fork out $75 and burn it? Or do we not fork out $75 and burn it? It's that simple.
Can we make it a grade? Cause I don't understand, like, I know my AP teacher for Lang, I know he would teach it differently if the angle wasn't to take the test. The test is what the entire thing is structured around and it limits him. I don't know, it's just difficult where we're at right now because we only have the CP and the AP.
Yeah, no, I know,
with honors.
and that's really, that's more their job. Okay, from this committee's perspective.
I'm saying if I'm gonna make the decision in that we're not gonna make these AP tests mandatory, then I wanna make sure that it goes on record by saying, I don't wanna see the rigor of those courses changing, and I still want those kids exposed to all of those practice APs there, regardless of whether they're gonna take
How about
the test. at the
For
end.
the next policy meeting, I will have a meeting with the AP teachers. And also get some feedback and conversation around structure, what they're seeing, how it might affect them. So you can still make a decision, but you'll have an idea of what they think might be implications.
I mean, what we're talking about is already happened. Whether we make this decision or not. These kids are deciding to not study for these exams because either they've got too many AP classes and they just don't have the time to do it. Or they don't want to do it. I don't really care what either one of those options are. What I'm worried about, and from a fiduciary perspective, what we need to worry about as a committee is, do we have a total number?
$15,000.
That's a lot of money.
Right.
We don't have this year's bill, and I think this year's bill might be higher, but last year's bill, because we won't get the bill until
Understood.
a couple weeks from now, once it's all processed through and they're taking them right now. But last year it cost us $15,000.
Cause I
I agree, and maybe my only suggestion would be like, okay, well, let's look at final exams, you know, like, if they
Let's look
take.
at final exams, then the rigor of final exams.
Right, like.
So
if-
what are
if
they
they're
doing right
take-
now?
Right now, I think a lot of times the teachers will waive a final exam if they're taking the AP test. So if you don't opt to take the AP test, should the teachers then implement a final exam?
Yes.
You know, like, I feel like those discussions are not discussions for, decisions for us to make,
Yeah.
but they're the decisions for admin and for your AP teachers to make. And I just want to just make sure that, you know, I'm grateful to those classes for the rigor of those classes. I don't wanna see that decline.
And maybe the final exams could be what we were using for the honors classes before.
Who knows if the same stuff's being taught? I don't know. Here's the problem though. Here's the challenge I got to that. They all. Are we having a fight?
No, there's.
Okay. Are we, like, so right now, if you have an AP class and you take the AP exam, how many of those classes, if any of them, have a final exam?
It depends on the class. I know for A plus, we didn't have a final exam, we had a final project, which was painting.
Yeah.
So since we had already taken the exam, AP Lang, I think we had another project instead of a placement test.
To offer projects.
I don't know what yours is.
Sure,
Mine was
I guess the
possible.
thing is
All addressing stuff.
the
Yeah.
challenge I've got is they already know, the teachers cannot be oblivious to this.
Mm.
That half their students are not really gonna do well on this exam because they're not trying. And if that's the case, where's the rigor argument there? Because they already know what's happening right now, and if that's the case, why have we not implemented?
Because they're still
Finals.
teaching with the expectation that you signed up for this class to take this test as your end game. Like, that's the expectation that we're teaching. And I don't.
But the test doesn't count to their grade.
It doesn't matter, and that's the whole
This is the
purpose,
philosophical
that's
discussion we get
the
on that.
whole purpose of an AP.
The only thing is some teachers have said to me, this is really not I don't want my scores to be reflected of the rigor of my class because the kids already told me they didn't study for it.
Right,
And you have to study.
exactly.
Agreed.
If that is the philosophy, like, so, like I said, there's two philosophies, is that you want fours and fives and you have the kids that study, take the exams, and that is a true picture of the kids who aren't studying and
Which
taking
I
the AP
totally
exam.
support.
And then there's the other philosophy where everybody takes it and your AP scores are not gonna be really reflective because the kids didn't study for half.
What's the
And
benefit
I'm
to the
okay
students
with
of
that,
doing
I'm
it?
totally okay with that, as long as we're still teaching to this and we're not
College
teaching to
setting.
this.
No problem with you.
That's
That's-
what.
But they should be doing that anyway.
They should.
Listen, I've seen a general
So when you
decline.
don't wanna do math
in
in
20
college,
years
you're
of
gonna do
education,
now in
so
high
I know
school,
where
get
we're
that
teaching.
way.
Yeah, as long as you pass.
So, yeah.
Why don't we, in 9th and 10th grade, make the final? Like, you have to have, what is it, like the qualifying grade, what is that right now, like an 85?
No, we don't qualify. It's to get into AP.
They don't do that anymore? No. Well, that's the issue.
That's my point.
No, that's not.
Well, see, it's not,
No,
because the
no.
problem is it's a, because that's part of the challenge with the honors classes, correct? We were dealing with numbers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because from the state perspective, you have to have certain percentages of kids, numbers of kids. When you're dealing with children that are on 504 plans, so you can't have a class, a CP class, with just 60% of the class being made up of kids that have 504 plans. You have to have it integrated. So when you're dealing with a school the size of ours, sometimes numbers create problems. So if you have CP and honors and AP, and you don't have enough to make those numbers work from a state requirement perspective, that's why they've had to eliminate the honors class to have a CP class with a higher rigor. So basically what we were kind of informed is that they're gonna teach to an honors level,
Yep.
but they're including it with everybody in there from CP, and then you've got your AP class for people that wanna take a harder rigor.
Is it possible for the teachers to give an approval for students to sit the AP?
Could
So
you
they
do
have-
like study check-ins,
Do they
like to make sure that kids are
Well,
studying?
to take the test.
to take the AP exam?
So
So
I mean,
they
it's not
approve it.
streamlined, doesn't it, you guys, with those like Zoom sessions?
So the
and
teacher
things
would
like
have to
that?
say, yes, you can take the
Those
exam,
are
or you have to offer it to
required by
people.
college.
I think you have to offer it to the students who are in the room.
Everyone
Take the class.
everyone
When
in the class.
well,
We're not
they-
gonna solve
yeah.
this tonight.
I think when they signed.
I mean, this is-
this
this is a bigger issue.
No, when you signed up for class, you took it, you had to take
You have
it.
to.
Our policy said you had to, if you were in AP, our policy says you have to test.
So that's what.
So that's the
So,
quantity
I
right
don't
here,
have a
is it
problem
has to
sending
test
it,
or is
you
it
don't.
wants to test?
You just
You're
want
just
the rigor
picturing what the
taken,
rigor
that's,
is.
that's it, that's my.
So that's up to them. From our end. What we need to decide, and from a financial perspective. I have a tough time approving or continuing the process that we've done. Knowing that I'm gonna bet half of those kids would not take those exams if they had a choice.
Right, and I, no, I don't.
It doesn't make any sense for us to
Take
take
it
that.
seriously either, I totally
It
get
doesn't
that.
make any sense. Now, the rigor side, I don't disagree with you. That's up to these guys to figure out how
Well,
to
I
make
mean,
that.
we've seen it with the MCAS, we've seen like,
MCAS.
exactly, so I don't wanna figure that out.
That's okay, that's why we have really smart people in those positions. So, all right, that being said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aaron, let the record show the motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening.
So Mr. Fox, does this mean that today's your last meeting?